Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more home defense testing. And today we've got a very interesting loading to try out. I don't think I've ever tested anything quite like this before, and it might be a load that's right up some people's alley, but other people might see it as a pretty gimmicky shell, and I guess it could go both ways, but we're just gonna have to see how it patterns to really get a good idea on if something like this might be worth it or not. And even still, some people might like it and others might not. But for the shells we've got today, big thank you to Adam for sending some of these over, but they are some of these. It might be a little tricky to see the label because it's kind of halfway covered up, but these are some Hickory Flat Boars ammunition. These are their Havoc BB and double aught loads. They're a 2 3/4 inch 9 pellet double aught buck with all of the gaps filled in with BB pellets. They kind of look a little smaller than BB shot based on my experience anyway, but you can kind of see in the package there how it's a standard 9 pellet double aught, but instead of having buffer in it, it's got extra little BB pellets. Very interesting loading for sure. Now this package of 5 shells is about 15 bucks. So will these be worth the $3 a shot? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe a double aught with BB pellets is a little bit of a gimmicky load. We'll see what happens, because it should be a rather interesting looking pattern at the very least when you've got a loading like that. As for the setup we're running them through, I brought out my Remington 870 special purpose. This one's got an 18.5 inch cylinder bore barrel, so completely smooth bore, no choke out of the end. Nice short home defense style setup with your classic Remington 870. This might be about as common as it gets, so it's a good platform for us to test these shells in a home defense scenario and see how they would pattern through a cylinder bore shorter barrel like this one has. But for today's test, we're going to run it the same as we usually do with a home defense style pattern test. We're going to shoot 5 shots ranging from 7 to 25 yards, so 7, 10, 15, 20, and 25. That should cover everything from in the same room, down the hallway, across the living room, all the way out to a little bit farther into the mid-range territory. If for whatever reason you find yourself needing to take that shot at some point, you may very well never come across that situation, but we should at least know, do we have some sort of a range cutoff or limitation with this combo? And of course, all of our shots will be through the chronograph as well, so we can be getting our velocities. So let's get you guys a view of those targets. We'll take our shots, and I guess we'll see what these Hickory Flat Boars Havok double aught and BB loads can actually do, and if they would be a viable home defense option or just more of a gimmicky shell. All right, so we'll have a quick look through our chronograph numbers before we look at our targets. I don't believe there was ever any velocity claim for these shells, but it seems like mid 1,000 feet per second mark is about what we were getting. We had 1053, 1054, 1063, 1073, and 1044 for an average at 1,057. So for a home defense scenario, that's going to be just fine for a velocity. It's going to do the job, but these are not any sort of low recoil or low noise shell at all. They feel like any other standard buckshot load does in the recoil department. So if you were looking for that, these don't really check that box, but how did they actually pattern? And is a shell like this actually worth it or not? Let's go look at our intruder targets and see how they fared. All right, so now we're down here at our intruder targets, and this turned into a big mess pretty quick. I expected it to be a lot more work trying to circle everything and measure everything than a standard 9 pellet double aught load or something. But man, you would be having a terrible day if you got hit with one of these shells and survived it. The doctor would not have a fun time with it either, that's for sure. So we'll start here up close and personal inside the house at 7 and 10 yards. Over here on the right with our 7-yard spread, I drew the squiggly line down the middle between them so you can see each of the patterns individually. And because it's such a mess, I put those orange stickers over where all of the double aught pellets actually hit so you can distinguish the spread of them as well. And yeah, that is an absolute mess right there. Nice tight spread of double aught pellets, and you got a little more leeway with the actual birdshot pellets as well, which I really do not think are actual BB sized pellets. I think they just said BBs as just a general round metal pellet type type of term, same as saying a Kleenex for a tissue type of deal, because there's an awful lot of them on here, that's for sure. The buckshot pellets gave us 4¼ inches of spread, and I did count, and we had 101 pellets impact our target right here at 7 yards. And that's way more than what it would be if it was actual BB size pellets loaded with double-aught pellets as well. Wouldn't be anywhere near that amount for sure. So they are definitely smaller. They probably look a little closer to a turkey load, somewhere between a 4 and a 6 shot, I would imagine. But moving over to 10 yards, kept the same style of pattern, but opened it up a little bit. Our buckshot spread is now 5¼ We did have the little base gas seal piece hit right in the middle of both of our patterns here. That's what that big circle is. But 5¼ inches for our buckshot spread. And on this one, we had 108 total pellets for the smaller shot size. So still a big mess, that's for sure. But clearly, it would do the job. There's no doubt about that. It would not feel very good. Moving over to our 15-yard spread, anywhere from here on out is kind of case-by-case circumstantial based, whether you should or shouldn't take the shot. However, we did still keep a 7-inch spread of the buckshot pellets with a pretty nice and circular even spread of the smaller pellets as well. We had 116 total pellets that I counted in this one, not including the buckshot pellets, of course, but still, out at 15 yards, that's not going to be a very fun time. You're just starting to spread a couple pellets outside of the actual torso here, so you really got to be careful. Anything over 10 yards, I'm saying, if you don't hit center mass, you're probably going to be putting the smaller pellets around the side of the intruder, which may be a decent thing if you're trying to mitigate penetration into walls or something like that. The birdshot pellets aren't going to go through that kind of stuff very easily, but it still gives you leeway on your buckshot pellets as well. Moving over to 20 yards, and we continue to see the same trend. Opened our buckshot up to 12¼ inches of spread. Not quite as even of a placement of buckshot pellets, but the rest of the actual birdshot around it is still absolutely covering your intruder and the stuff around him as well at this point. So if you liked a little bit more wiggle room, a little more breathing room in crunch time, out to 20 yards, if you center that up, you're going to be hitting them with all 9 buckshot pellets and quite a lot of birdshot pellets as well. And finally here we have our 25-yard spread. We continue to open it up a little bit more to 15 inches across while still keeping a pretty decently even buckshot spread and still a very nice spread of birdshot pellets as well. Kind of looks like we had an extra buckshot pellet down there towards the bottom, but it's just kind of a clump of a bunch of the smaller pellets in one. So that's what that is. But either way, 112 pellets in that pattern for the smaller birdshot. And if I didn't mention it, it was 101 for the 20-yard pattern. So looking at these overall, everywhere from the same room all the way out to 25 yards, even if you just had the buckshot pellets, it would be plenty good enough. Add that birdshot into it, and it makes for a very nasty day, that's for sure. I definitely wouldn't want to get hit by it and survive, and I don't think the doctors would want to deal with it either. Easily 15 yards and in, that is a nasty performer, and if that is what you're looking for, having buckshot and birdshot with a little more leeway, but keeping a nice buckshot spread, it's really not bad at all. I'll take that if I'm looking for that kind of shell any day of the week. So overall, for somebody who might be looking for these shells, they seem to be some pretty good performers, kind of for what they were designed for, or the person that they were intended for or marketed towards. Very messy in the doctor's office point of view of it, but I think they would stand a pretty good chance at stopping your threat right then and there. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about these results right here? Right down here close in the same room or down a hallway inside the house at the most common home defense ranges, everything is going to be through center mass on an intruder all day long. If you center that shot up, it's going to do the job for sure. If the buckshot doesn't do its job for whatever reason, you've got a little more leeway with the birdshot to slow them down, and that might be what some people are looking for. It's just that little bit of extra margin for error when it comes down to a crunch time scenario. And for that case, these shells would work fantastic, it seems. They hold a pretty nice, even spread of pellets, both buckshot and the birdshot that's loaded in them, because it could have been way worse. We could have seen some crazy things where the buckshot pellets blew our birdshot all over the place, and we really didn't see that. So if you're looking for this type of shell, if this kind of checks off your boxes for what you would use in a home defense scenario, it seems like a pretty great option to me. But I definitely understand the guy that just wants a plain old 9-pellet double-aught load as well. Neither one of them would be a bad option whatsoever whatsoever. They would both do the job just fine. I think this is just intended for the person that wants a little bit more margin for error, and it definitely gives you that overall. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you ever tested any of these Hickory Flat Boars double-aught and BB loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a load you would ever consider using for a home defense setup? Would you rather just have buckshot? Would you rather just have the bird shot or a slug or anything in between? Or is this exactly what you're looking for? Buckshot with a little bit of bonus margin for error attached to it. Let me know all your opinions about it down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.